Good evening and welcome to On the Rise. It's here March 14th. It's Pie Day. You guys are aware it's Pie Day, right?
Free pizza, right?
Every freaking place is doing free pizza, discounts on pizza. 3.14 for people who are mathematically challenged, I suppose. Anyway, we're coming to you here from our new studio. This is the second time we're out here. Different group, actually. Half the group is the same. But we've got a special guest here in the studio with us, and that's Jose Shorty Torres. We'll be talking to Jose here just a little bit about what's going on in his world, what's been happening, what's coming up for you. And also, we have a date of April 15th. That's the next event. The next RIZE event is going to be at the Palm Beach Hilton. That's right there, Hilton, right?
Yep.
Palm Beach Hilton out there on Southern Boulevard and Australian. That'll be on April 15th. We have a stack card. We were just talking about that before we went live, and that's at least 10 fights on the card already that are locked in. So. As you know, the last couple of events that we've had, we have a pretty stacked card. We're going to continue that theme. I know it's a little incomparable to some other promotions out there. They aren't quite putting on as many fights.
Not putting out any names,
No, we're not doing that. We're just saying we're going to have a stacked card for you. So you want to enjoy some fights, a good night of fights, a good variety of them. Come right out April 15th. We have another date we'll get to another time also. We're already working on that next card beyond that one. But as of right now, as I said, we're going to talk a little bit about what's been going on here in the RIZE world, what's coming up on that fight card. We'll talk to you, David, about what we got coming up. And again, with our special guest, we'll talk to Shorty about what's been going on. What we're going to do real quick is take a quick commercial break, and then just as soon as we do that, we'll come right back here and talk to Shorty. We'll be right back.
Experience live MMA right at your fingertips. Any place, anytime, anywhere. Original series, live events, and an ultimate fight library. Exclusively on RIZE-X. Download the RIZE FC app from your mobile app store today.
Welcome back to On the Rise. Today we're here with Shorty Torres. We're going to ask some questions about his journey in the fight game and mental health for fighters, because that's something he's really passionate about. So we just talked about us having the next card, which is April 15th. Make sure you guys are ready for that. And Shorty, why don't you go ahead, give us a little information about yourself, and then get into what you want to talk about today.
Let's see. So people who don't know me, my name is Jose Shorty Torres. Was a two-time amateur IMF world champ, the first to ever do it, which I'm happy about. Yay. Two-time Titan
IMF?
FC. Yeah, International Mixed Martial Arts Federation.
Okay.
So I represented Team USA twice. Was able to win 4 fights in 1 week, 2 years in a row, which is cool. It's like literally back to back to back to back. And you have to make weight every single day, which is not fun at all.
Damn.
Did that, was the 2-division Titan FC champ, 3-time defending. I went back up and down, 25 and 35. UFC veteran, had 2 fights there. And then I have right now 3 fights in Brave Combat Federation overseas. So was getting ready for a fight, but got injured.
You have anybody in Dagestan that you want to call out for a fight?
No, all my Dagestani brothers are awesome, man. They've helped me out so much. Actually, the recent card that just happened, they had Hamza Koheji versus Brad Katona. Brad Katona being a former UFC Ultimate Fighter winner, and he, I believe, got released, eventually went to Brave, and he just became the bantamweight world champion for Brave. And me, now slowly coming back, I want to hopefully fight him. I believe Hamza, the Bahraini contender, might get a rematch because it was a split decision, which was always those controversial ones. But until then, I got time to heal and rest up anyways. So until then, I'm going to have some fun and just relax.
That's what's up.
Awesome. So what's your journey been like? Because you've obviously been with a lot of promotions. That's like 4 different promotions.
Yeah.
So how does mental health play a role in each different promotion that you're fighting? Like, what was the journey like? You started with IMF, then you went to Titan, you went to UFC, now you're at Brave. So along your journey with all these different promotions, how was your journey with your mental health?
Well, it's crazy because, when you're young and starting out, you have that motivation, just keep on going and do more and do more. And for me, I ended up competing at IMF, was so excited to graduate college, so excited to win the world championships. And then after, when I got signed to Titan FC, actually it was because of Habib. I ended up getting signed because of him, because I was rolling with him, and people were like, Lex McMahon, my manager now, but the COO of Titan was like, who's this kid going with Khabib? Like, he's doing really well. So I ended up doing that, going to Titan. I was just so excited to just fight anyone, really prove a point. And Tim Elliott at the time was the champion, was eventually the Ultimate Fighter winner for the flyweights. I ended up fighting for his vacant belt. And when I won, I was like, man, I just want to fight the next best guy. And I was 3-0, fought a guy who was 18-2, Pedro Nobre, knocked him out. And I was like, man, I want to do more. UFC still hasn't noticed me yet. Let me bump up. Bumped up, broke my hand, tore my MCL the first time, and ended up winning a 5-round fight. And I just literally kept on defending the belts, going back and forth. Eventually, the UFC called me up, but through Titan, I was like super motivated, super excited. And, I wanted to fight the UFC because that's, at least in the States, that's all we know is UFC. I get there, and mentally, I was really mistreated with last-minute fights. My resume was really belittled because they were already releasing a lot of the flyweight division guys. So it didn't matter what your resume was; they didn't really care about you. So it's like, just imagine you apply for a job and you have the biggest resume ever, and they're like, we like these guys because they're just cool, and it's like, they're not even qualified for the job.
Right.
So I was really getting belittled. So by the time I ended up fighting Alex Perez, my second fight, I cut 54 pounds in about 45 days. So by the time I got to that second fight, I fought Jared Brooks, 9-day notice, 26 pounds. Alex Perez, about 20-day notice, 28 pounds, back-to-back immediately. And mentally, I've done weight cuts before, but I was so into my own head, my perspective, like, man, people are mistreating me, life is not treating me well, and given if I could turn back time, I hopefully would change my perspective on that. But even after the weight cut, I was like, man, I just want to go home. Like, no matter what happens in this fight, I just want to fight and go home. So I already had that mentality. I was on a 33-fight winning streak, and I already had that mentality that, like, I don't even care if I lose. I just want to be 3-1, go home. So when you look at it that way, it's like, why did I have that perception? Well, I thought of all the negativity. I had that pity party about myself. And no matter what, the world wasn't going to see or help me. And that's, you really have to take care of yourself. So after I got released, because of, again, the whole demise of that flyweight division at the time, again, out of my control, I still saw it as it was my fault. I didn't perform. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. Blaming myself. And so by the time I fought for Brave the first time, I was like, man, I don't even care. And that guy's now, I believe, 2 or 3-0 in the UFC. So it shows the caliber of fighters I'm fighting, and I was still able to beat him mentally, not at my best. But it's the fact of, like, man, if you're not there, I mean, you look at Tyron Woodley. I think Tyron Woodley is a prime example of one of the best champions in its history, and then 4 fights just going downhill. But I've trained with him getting ready for the Kamaru Usman fight and the Kobe and all these other fights where he was so focused on his music career, focused on his relationship, his outside life, his kids, to where you put too much pressure on yourself and then you can't perform. You're physically there, but mentally, like, you're like an empty shell.
Right.
So I think in the sport, and I answer questions on my Instagram, like for Sunday questions, people ask, what's the most important aspect of MMA? I say it's mental health. It's trying to find a balance because we have to put so much time into this. We lose quality time with people, our loved ones, our family, relationships, this, that. And then we get injured, and now it's more time wasted in our career, which is only so long. I might fight until I'm 36. I'm 29 now, so maybe that's 5-6 more years, maybe 7 more years. Maybe, the next day I get hit by a car and my knees explode and the doctor says I can't fight anymore. So there's the mental aspect of trying to come back from injuries, trying to find a happy balance of just life in general, and just trying to, I always tell people, if I'm mentally there, if I'm 100% me, I can beat the best in the world. But if I'm not there, it doesn't matter how talented I am, it just doesn't matter.
Right.
So I think mental health is a huge thing in the sport when it comes to just performing. You want to be there, and well, the first part is start here. You can be the best. You can have the best machine in the world, but without a proper operator, that machine is useless.
Man, it's a whole pill to swallow, but I definitely understand where you're coming from, especially when the opportunities knock. Like you said, like if you might not be 100%. Most fighters, I think, most of the time are not 100%. They might have some kind of injury or some kind of pain, and they got to fight through it. And like you said, with the whole flyweight division, you look at DJ, killing the game, and was not really appreciated. And that the 125 with Dana White always kind of harassing the division, trying to demobilize it. So it's a lot of pressure, and
it's a lot of pressure to perform, but this is why I say people are gym warriors.
Yeah.
How many times you've seen people in the gyms like beating up some of the best in the world, like doing an amazing job, and they show up to a regular fight and against a random Joe Schmo, and then they get demolished, and you're like, dude, what happened?
Right.
And they freeze under the lights because mentally they're just not there. And so it's being able to control so many different emotions, whether it's under the pressure, in front of certain people, your family, whatever the case may be, but finding something, and everyone's different. You know, it's like if I'm depressed, me, I want to be held, I want to be catered to, compared to like some people are like, no, man, leave me alone. So everyone's different on trying to find different ways to relax, trying to get them in the zone, and different concepts on trying to be mentally there.
Right.
So it's a process.
I got anxiety just thinking of that. Truthfully, I'm like, oh man. Like I mentioned before, like the last show, I believe, like I was a corner guy, and I was nervous as hell. Just
certain things, and I'm from Chicago, so I want to fight. I'm only down in Florida for training. So when COVID hit, it's like, cool, I just want to fight, but slowly countries are being locked down. Now I can't travel overseas to fight. Now I'm, in a sense, wasting time, given out of my control. So I have to look at that from that perspective and hopefully mentally take care of myself that way and go, things aren't meant to be, they're not meant to be. If they are, then, they're meant to be.
And that's the hard part. You're also an independent contractor, too, so you're the one that has to have the best interest in your mind.
Well, and that's also the hard part is,
Right.
You're going to have an opinion, you're going to have an opinion, my mother, my manager, my brother, everyone's going to have an opinion of what's best for my career. What should I do? Should I relax? Should I do more? I'm getting yelled at now, walk around with a cane when technically I should have a full knee brace and crutches, but I'm like, no, I can do it. And
Right.
people are just trying to take care of me and looking out for my, my best attributes of like what they want from me, but sadly, I have my own mindset where I'm like, no, I'm independent. I'm going to do what I want. Right. So it's trying to find a happy medium and hopefully sitting down to listen, because there's a perspective on that as well.
Right.
I know it's got to be stressful. Obviously you've had a lot of layoffs now in trying to get these fights together between the injuries and then other things that have been going on with COVID. I know when you and I were doing the commentating at that Delray event, it was a long time ago. You've had one fight, I think, since that time?
I've had, when I signed with Brave, and given out of their control, I've had one fight for the past 3 years. So one fight. One of them, I ended up getting cut, over my eye, and ended up having like a bad flu at the same time. Thank you, Duke Rufus. And I ended up getting sick, so I couldn't take that fight. It was like 2-week notice. So we ended up moving it to the next year. It worked out well. It was like 2-month delay. Then the following year, I was going to fight for a world championship, and then I got there, but 3 weeks before, my father passed away. I didn't know how to grieve. So I was like, yeah, I'm still going to do it. And then sadly, basically what Khabib did when his father passed away, like how after he fought, just broke down crying, like that was my goal. I just didn't make it. It ended up happening before the fight. So I ended up having the panic attack. I'm like, I got to get out of here. So I didn't fight. And then fought again, and then this one I was going to fight Ali Bagutinov, a UFC veteran contender, in pretty much Dagestan in Russia. And I ended up, literally people know, I ended up tearing my LCL when I was out there, and I ended up cracking a rib before I even flew out there. And I was still training. I was like, screw it, I want this fight. It's a legacy fight for me. And because of the multiple injuries, and in Dagestan where no one speaks English, literally no one of anything, I was like, hey man, I need diet food. I need to, because I cut a lot of weight to make 125. I weigh 160, 165 naturally. So 25, that's 40, 45 pounds, maybe sometimes more. And they were like, oh cool, here's steak, potatoes, and rice. I'm like, yo, this is the exact opposite of what I should be having, So I'm eating super small to keep energized, but I'm also, malnourished. Right. And I'm also cutting weight, doing all these things. And now that I'm injured, I couldn't even drill and work out. So I was like, the only thing I can do is bike. And so on. And so I started cutting weight early, and then I ended up drying out early. So then I couldn't even take that fight. I was like, it's maybe not meant to be. It's mentally though that fight, I took it well. Where I'm like, it is what it is. It's actually a less bigger deal than what you think about it. It's like, I'm still here today. I'm still gonna fight. Right. The fight didn't happen. Maybe I can still fight him one day, but maybe it's just that time. It wasn't the right moment. So let's just keep on going and see where it goes. Same thing with this injury. Like, just one of those freak accidents that you hear a pop and you're like, hey man, you need surgery. It's like, yeah, great. But maybe my body needed this rest, because I do overtrain. I do overcompensate in so many ways in working out. So, again, it's in these 4 months, I'm at 3 weeks right now since surgery. In these 4 months, it's like I have to mentally keep myself stable and not try to, in a sense, and I'm not trying to be as dark as possible, like end myself in my own bed where I'm like, I just want to do something, because I'm so productive naturally. Laying in bed and being told to stay still every single day sucks. Right. So it's, again, there's a mental attribute with that as well.
So you're thinking that's realistic expectation is at least 3 months before you can get back?
It's about 4 months total. So I have about 3.5 months left. So far I was told I'm 2 weeks ahead of the game, so yay. But it's also trying to not be ahead of the game. It's trying to be at that right moment to go into it. Because me, I would jump in there right now, hit somebody on my cane, but it is what it is.
Right.
And do you study, like, as you're injured? Do you watch?
Yeah. So I've practicing my Spanish. I've been watching film. I've been, doing sponsor work. I've been doing a lot of things to try to stay productive on my side. I coach fighters at both the Goat Shed, American Combat Gym, and some other gyms around. So, yeah, I'm doing my own little things to stay as productive as possible. And then social media, my biggest thing is I've been doing mental health posts and doing like a lot of stuff in my stores and answering a lot of questions because I've been through the ringer with some of the things, as we all have been through our fair share of stuff. So it's like, if I can help somebody in a big brother or father type of way, then cool. If you're coachable, I would love to give you advice. If it works for you, awesome. If it doesn't, well, I tried.
Right. We want to hear more from you, but we got to take a quick commercial break. On the flip side of that, we'll continue talking and
Cool.
let you say what you got to say. So we'll be back here in just about 30 seconds.
Experience live MMA right at your fingertips. Any place, anytime, anywhere. Original series, live events, and an ultimate fight library. Exclusively on RIZE X. Download the RIZE FC app from your mobile app store today.
All right, and we are back. Hopefully you enjoyed that quick commercial break. There was a promo again for RIZE X. So you have to go to RIZE FC, guys. Just download that right there from your device. Click on RIZE X. You'll be able to watch any of these fights live as they happen. Again, April 15th is the next one. You can buy your tickets right there on that app. So we want to get right back into it with Jose Shorty Torres, our special guest tonight. And we were talking a little bit about, during the break here just now, and Armando was jumping up behind the camera, and we talked about mental health and how that plays a big role. And a friend of mine, I believe he's a friend of yours as well, and Armando's is Erwin Rivera, who obviously had suffered mental illness. It was an issue that happened, if you guys know what I'm talking about, and that happened about 6 to 7, 8 months ago it was, and he had to take some time away, to get himself right, but he's been able to do so. Got himself back in great mental and physical shape, and just came right back to the cage again and got his first one back ever since that happened. So there's a way to come back from it. You put yourself in that situation, your career not necessarily is over when things like that happen, but you have to take care of yourself, like you've been saying.
He was real fortunate to get a second chance because a lot of people in his position don't get that. And so he's been able to capitalize on that. That's a huge thing. When it comes to mental health, again, you look at UFC being the biggest promotion in the world. I think Rose Namajunas is another person who talked about mental health. A lot of people have been boasting about it because it is an important thing, especially through COVID. Again, you're not really able to go see someone, talk to someone, see your loved ones do certain things. My family's back in Chicago, so it's a process of trying to spend as much quality time as you can with as many people as you can. And COVID, I think, taught us, like, the moment is, once it's gone, it's gone. So you might as well enjoy the people and everything, the moments that you have now, because a lot of people underappreciated it. So it's just a process with that. But mental health is a huge thing in the sport, because if you're not there, you're not going to fight. Right. So you see the amateurs coming in, and every time I go to the show, because they know about me, they're like, "Oh, Shorty, I'm nervous." I'm like, "Dude, that's awesome." But if you're not nervous, then you're not cautious, so you're careless, and then now you're going to get beat up. Right. You're probably going to get hurt. But then if you're too nervous, you're going to freeze up, you're going to tense up, and you're going to get hurt more because of that. Right. So you need to find that happy medium of, like, I'm nervous, I'm cautious, but I know what to do, and I know what not to do to get this win. And so again, nerves, anxiety, all these things play a game and play a huge toll in our sport, and sometimes it overwhelms people. It's
like you're saying. It's okay to be nervous, but as long as the training aspect is there, just muscle memory. It's all there.
Oh yeah, that's why right the Goat Shed does a really good job where when they do sparring, they have their one cage and literally the whole team watches, and it almost looks like an actual fight. Or you have the arena.
Bring the phones over so there's lights. They make sure people are screaming.
And they also don't care when it comes to, like, if you get slammed in your head, they're gonna promote it. It's also the fact of, like we've trained there. It's the fact of, it's like World Star. Like, you don't want to be beat up on World Star because then you're a highlight reel. Right. So to them, it's like, man, I want to look good, because even though this is a real fight, these guys are filming me. They're going to boast on it. Right. And especially the Goat Shed, they have almost 300,000 followers on Instagram. And, like, right now, Is it Indio? Indio, there's a guy, Indio, who has a fight, it was a kickboxing fight, but he kept on getting hit in the back of the head. So he's like, since the ref's not going to do anything about it, I'm going to slam this guy. So it's on ESPN right now. It's on all like MMA Junkie, literally being promoted everywhere, where he's just picking up a guy, slamming him, and that's the goat shit again, promoting. So at their practices, like, it's almost like a real fight. So those guys now had that mentality of, this is a real life fight inside the gym and outside the gym. Whether it's for Titan FC, RIZE, or other promotions, it's like, cool, this is our moment to shine, and we can't lack on this.
Right, and the fact that you're fighting so much, like real fights, when you get into a real fight, it's just like another day at the gym.
It's a normal day. It's another sparring day compared to, hell, even my first MMA fight, I never even put on MMA gloves. You know, I've never sparred with MMA gloves. It was always boxing gloves, and then we put them on. I was like, man, these things are tiny. You know, it was just like, oh man, you know. And that fight, I ended up freezing, and I lost by a split decision. And I'm like, huh. But that fight also pushed me so much to where it became, 33 fight winning streak after that. Yeah. So it's the mentality of how you even take the loss as well.
Right.
One question that I had for you was, a lot of mental health comes from the confidence that you have within yourself. And one of the things that I've talked with some really good fighters about is, how does that confidence develop? Because we all can have bad days, we all can have bad moments, but how do we believe in ourselves to take the next step? Whether it's a hard step or an easy step, we all have to take that next step when we're in dark places. So how did you build that confidence for yourself?
I know when I was going through like my real dark phases, through whatever depression I was going through, I was venting, I was journaling, I was watching TED Talks, going through YouTube, finding mental health books. And I hate reading, so I was like, if I'm reading, I'm depressed. It's like I was doing a lot of things. And I mean, I'm a huge Kanye West fan as well. And you see, I don't know if anybody's seen his documentary, but everything was just his self-belief. No matter how many times people denied him, he's like, I'm going to do this. I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to do it. And it was kind of, Muhammad Ali has a quote, and given I can't quote it verbatim, but he states, he's like, I said I was the best in the world before anyone ever believed it. And I kept on saying it so much that people eventually were like, he's the greatest, he's the greatest. And even though he doesn't have the best resume in the world, given he's done so many things inside the sport and outside the sport, people automatically view him as the greatest because he kept saying it about himself so much. So a lot of people state that if you start saying you're the greatest, oh, you're cocky, you're arrogant. No, man, I just believe in me. Right. If you don't believe in me, that's fine, but let me do me, you do you, and I'm going to keep on doing my thing. If I become successful, awesome, but if you don't have that self-belief, why are you trying?
Exactly.
It's cool to be humble, that's fine. Armed with, Formiga, Pedro Munoz, Renan Barao, all these former world champs, John Lineker, who just won the ONE FC championship. Yep. Like, I was going toe-to-toe with these guys, and I'm like, oh my God, I guess I can hold myself against some of the best, and then eventually, now I'm ranked top 20 in the world in my division, so it's like, wow, if I actually believed in myself, and I didn't believe in myself this far, and I got this far, what if I actually started to believe and see where it goes from here? And this is why I'm so excited to fight, because that whole change mentality.
That's awesome.
And I'm ready to go do something. I'm inspired. You know what? Like maybe
I want to hit somebody with this. I just want to start a fight for no reason. No, but it's true. It's like anything you do. When you start second guessing yourself, I'm already like, as a coach sometimes, when I hear people second guessing themselves, they're already preparing themselves to lose. Right. And you're already giving yourself that excuse. Like, I love John Jones to death, but John Jones, even being one of the best fighters in the world, he gives himself an excuse before every single fight. Right. Basically, when he fought DC twice, I think he went partying and didn't get back until like 6 or 7 in the morning, the day of, and then fought and won. Yeah. But he already prepared just in case he did lose. He's like, dude, I was out partying until 6 a.m. I have an excuse. Or the whole cocaine incidents and all that. Like, he's like, I have an excuse. And he's the best in the world. He's a freak of nature at times, and he does this thing, and that's awesome. But a lot of people use that as their crutch, literally, and go, this is why I lost, and I'm never going to meet that pinnacle because they don't believe in themselves.
I think John Jones also is definitely DNA with the brothers, too, being Super Bowl champions. Yeah. You know what I mean? But, yeah, he's definitely one of the greatest, if not the greatest, in his division for sure.
But you look at all the greats. They all believe they're the greatest.
Right.
Yeah. They got to that point before – they were saying that to themselves before they even got there.
That's so much so that these guys will put themselves in front of fighters that they have no business really being in front of just to prove a point.
Yeah.
Shorty did that a couple times, right?
And you bring
Didn't you put yourself in some crazy fights?
Yeah, all the time. Yeah. Like for me, so when I fought for Titan, Lex McMahon wasn't my manager at the time, but a very close friend, and he was trying to guide me in fights. So after I became a champ and knocking out somebody who was 7-2 and I was only 2-0, I was like, cool, I'm the world champ. Let's fight the next in line because that's what I believe is right as a champion.
Right.
And he's like, all right, well, let's get you a proper fight and go from there. I was like, no, I want Pedro Nobre. He went to this Tim Elliott. You know, Tim Elliott just won the Ultimate Fighter, and I'm 3-0. He's 18-2. Like, this is the guy I want to fight. I want to see if I can beat that pinnacle. If I lose, technically, paper-wise, I'm supposed to lose, but I believe I can beat him.
That's right.
Knock him out in 86 seconds. And I'm like, all right, cool. You know what? Let's bump up. Let's do something different. I don't want to follow the same trend. I want to make my own path, have people follow it, and then slowly start doing whatever.
Yeah.
So, like, when I became the 2-time world champion IMUF, Mohamed Mokaev is fighting, I believe, next weekend in London. He was a 2-time world champ after me. And people were like, oh, he's the next Shorty Torres and doing that. And he's like my little brother. And I'm like, dude, you're following your path, now going your own separate way. That's awesome. You're trying to do something different, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You know, I think actually this year there was a guy who was a 3-time world champ. And it's like,
Okay.
that's freaking awesome.
Yeah.
People are doing their own things, but they're trying to do more. But when you see somebody else do it, they're like, you know what? I think I could do that too. And so they keep on going.
Right.
But it's a self-belief. I think Khabib just talked about it. He's like, I was treating myself like a champion before I became champ.
Right.
You know, Mike Tyson said the same thing. He goes, I didn't even care about the belts. I just wanted to win.
Look at Pena beating Nunez. Like, who would have expected that too? You
But
know.
she believed it the entire time.
Right.
You know, and that's the crazy thing. And with Nunez, given I think mentally she didn't really care to fight for that one. I feel like she was too cocky and arrogant, which again is that nervousness or like, I'm not nervous.
Get comfortable.
You know, and she was winning the first round, no problem. I
Right.
thought she was like, man, she's gonna, demolish this girl. And Pena just followed her game plan, believed in herself, never gave up, came back to adversity, and look where she's at. She's now the world champ.
You got it.
So it's a
That's
process.
awesome.
It's a process. You know, as much as I love training with TJ Dillashaw, like he's not the best training partner because he goes 100% in the gym, but that's because he hates losing.
Right.
He wants to be the best in the world. So he invites people who are possibly better than him at certain aspects, will lose, hate himself for it, and then keep on training so he finally beats you and beats you 10 times at what you've been beating him at. Like
Right.
that's his mentality. So and that's why he was a 2-time world champ.
Gotcha.
And so it's a process.
So what we're going to do is we're going to take another quick break here, and on the flip side of that, we're just going to wrap up and talk a little bit about the event coming up once again on April 15th. We'll see you guys again in about 30 seconds.
This is Kerry from Deviate Motorsports. I want to welcome you to our world and give you a little insight into what we do. From the lift kits, lowering kits, custom wheels and tires, gas, diesel performance and accessories. We do it all here in-house. All of our services we offer, we install everything. Come follow us on social media, Facebook or Instagram, deviate_motorsports. Take a look at what we do, what we have to offer. We're located at 1018 North Federal Highway in Lake Park, US 1, just south of North Lake Boulevard, or you can give us a call, 561-840-2023, or shoot us an email, deviatemotorsports@yahoo.com. Thanks.
Experience live MMA right at your fingertips. Any place, anytime, anywhere. Original series, live events, and an ultimate fight library. Exclusively on RIZE X. Download the RIZE FC app from your mobile app store today.
All right, welcome back. We're here, and as you noticed, Jose Shorty Torres has transformed into our friend Ralph. Ralph is from Pharmacana. He's going to talk to them about his products as well, and it all kind of ties in, as we just discussed during the break, a little bit to what we were just talking about with the mental health aspect of that. And Ralph, if you can kind of enlighten people a little bit about how Pharmacana products do help with that stress and that mental health.
Yeah. So yeah, like Shorty Torres was mentioning, he actually touched upon 3 things that caught my attention. He's talking about the mental health. Now I can go out there and make claims regarding specific mental health, but a lot of times it has to do with anxiety. The top 3 things that CBD is being used for sure the top 3, not in any particular order, is pain, inflammation, and anxiety. And I think he touched upon those 3 things, right? He's dealing with an injury. Start using some of the CBD products, you start taking that, it brings the inflammation down, blood flow increases, you're going to heal quicker, which is a big reason why we've aligned ourselves with RIZE. It's, to us, it's a no-brainer. It's with that's what Pharmacana is all about.
I mean, do you want to touch a little bit about how CBD and the safety of CBD versus other products that may be out there on the market that people are taking?
Yes, yes. Probably the biggest thing is getting rid of that stigma where a lot of people that are not educated on this may confuse it with marijuana or medical marijuana. It's two completely different industries, right? Medical marijuana, you're going to a doctor, the doctor needs to prescribe it. If you prescribe for it, you get a card, you walk into a dispensary, right? This is completely different. So when we're referring to CBD, CBD is a cannabinoid that's extracted from a hemp plant. So that's the first distinction right there, right? There you have the marijuana side and then you have the hemp. So we're in the hemp side, which allows us then to have these products that's over the counter. So you do not need a prescription, which is why it allows us to sell at pharmacies and at doctors' locations. So that's kind of been our shtick until recently that we decided to start moving over into the sports sector for the reasons I said before.
Right.
So.
I know you've come out and you've given some of our fighters a little goodie bag. Some of the guys have
yes.
about how top
some of the more common products I would say when it comes to the sports world is definitely going to be our CB Discomfort, which is an anti-inflammatory cream. That is phenomenal. It's been our #1 seller for 6 years now, and I think it's just because you feel it so quick.
Yeah.
5 to 10 minutes.
I super love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll feel it. You'll feel it. We'll have. That's why I think we did so well in physical therapy, or chiropractic offices. They use it right in their patient. So before they even get in a car, they realize the difference. Okay. So now they're wanting to have that at home. So we're convinced that's going to be probably also a #1 seller in this sector, right? For you fighters out there who want to take care of your body, it's phenomenal. For doing after your practices or your sparring. Trainers out there that want to take care of their fighters, gyms as well. 100% of our products are 100% all natural. So you're not putting anything in your body you have to worry about. So for athletes, that body is priority #1. It fits right in line with that. So I think it's a good fit, and we're excited to be associated with you guys and start seeing some of these effects on the fighters. I think they'll realize it real quick too.
I think it expedites the massage process. When my girlfriend wants a massage, I bust that out, and bam, it's definitely a lot faster, So I got to give credit to that.
Yeah. Especially like I said, it's mostly the injury part that's going to, I think, to be the biggest benefit. A positive side effect is going to be the anxiety part, right? So if listen, regardless of what we do for a living, there's going to be a certain percentage of the fighting population to have anxiety. Just like, in our professions, we all have a certain percentage. Those may benefit. That's another side, a positive side effect of CBD. You might be taking it just because your body's taking a pounding and you want to keep that inflammation down so you recuperate quicker. But a side effect could be your anxiety goes down. Your anxiety goes down, you might find yourself sleeping better. So it's a vicious cycle, right? When you're hurt,
sure,
anxiety tends to be a little bit higher. Anxiety tends to be a little bit higher, you're not going to sleep as well. And then you don't sleep as well, you're back to the anxiety the next morning, and it's a cycle. It's a cycle. So CBD is phenomenal for that. It just hits that cycle, right? When you start improving one of those things, everything kind of falls in line.
I mean, I know obviously there's been an issue in the sports world, where a lot of players, fighters, any athlete really, they start taking painkillers. They start getting addicted to painkillers. The only thing they find that can ease their pain. And it sounds like what you have here is something that's going to relax them, help them out tremendously, and isn't addictive in any way.
Listen, I'll tell you what. I mean, you hit a huge nail there. Because we're in so many pharmacies around the country, that is the #1 thing we hear the most, right? So remember I said pain, inflammation, which 90% of pain is due to some inflammation and anxiety. But it is the amount of doctors and pharmacists that tell us that I had a patient that was on 3, pain meds. They're down to 1, or they had 2. We're not suggesting you should get off your pain meds. Patients are making that decision. Why? Because they're taking something that might be long-term effect, where when you're taking CBD is 100% natural. Like, why? Why would I take the risk of a long-term effect of a non-natural drug when that's something that I'm feeling in my own body I feel better. So yeah, that's a very valid point on your end. There's been a lot of athletes that we all know have turned from dealing with the same thing like the normal population, right? But they're dealing with more pain, and they end up being a higher risk for pain meds, and they get addicted to that stuff. Yeah, it's terrible.
So Ralph, tell everybody how they can find out more about Pharmacana products.
Sure. Do you have a question real quick?
I have a question.
Sure. Sorry.
One thing that I've noticed, I'm a sports therapist for sports massage, so I use CBD products a lot with my clients. And something that I've noticed that seems to be very interesting is there seems to be a really good mix of PRP and CBD. I've treated multiple clients for years, multiple different times when they have had PRP shots in their thumbs, knees, shoulders, whatever, but it seems like the recovery process when applying CBD to the PRP related surgery areas, there's a very steep difference that I see in the clients that use CBD and the clients that don't. Why do you think that is?
See, she's validating what I said earlier about
this is just
in that
purely
industry
evidence that I've seen with my own clients, and it's really there's a noticeable difference of the people who get a PRP shot or whatever kind of PRP in the joint, knee, hand, foot, and that use CBD on that
along with
area while the PRP is recovering, because it's a couple weeks, couple months process, than the people who get the PRP and don't use CBD after.
It just has to do with the anti-inflammatory properties
Okay.
that cannabinoid has, the CBD. It just does. So it just bringing that inflammation down, like I said earlier, it's just going to increase that blood flow. And you would know that from your profession. If you can increase the blood flow, it's going to increase the speed of your recovery, right?
Absolutely.
Not to mention then it's just the patient's more comfortable too, right? Because you're reducing that. So I hear that a lot, and I've heard that a lot from a lot of physical therapists that they've noticed. If anything, sometimes they get concerned because they want to come into the office more often. As a chiropractor, sometimes they do that too. It's like, well, if I take care of them too quick,
They're losing your check.
instead of 10 visits, they only need 7. But I tell you what, that what we all try to do from a patient perspective is you want that testimonial.
Right.
So if I'm happy that Dr. Joe took care of me in 5 weeks as opposed to the normal 7 to 8 weeks, I'm probably gonna be raving about that doctor. Which means now when you have the injury, boom, now you're known for what you're supposed to do, which is what take care of your patient, right? So yeah, I think to answer your question, I think that's what it is. Things just to bring it down to the inflammation.
Is there anything that your product has that a lot of other products on the market don't have? I know that there's a couple of things, so I'm asking you.
Yeah, we've been around a bit. So we've been a little bit about Pharmacana. We started in 2016, and we were born at a pharmacy in Wellington, Florida. Just out of frustration of trying to find an actual CBD company to put on the shelves. And it was the lack of testing and not answering the proper questions, because the founders, the mentality was a mentality of a compounding pharmacist. So when you compound medicine for patients, there's a certain protocol you got to follow. So that frustration led to, you know what, screw it, we'll just do it ourselves. Yeah. So just like you compound anything, you got to get the raw ingredients. You make sure it's tested, third-party lab tested. So some of the things that make us different, first of all, we've been around for a while. It kind of seems like everyone and their mother has a CBD company now. It's become very, very competitive, very saturated. But there's still, I would say, over half the companies out there are not even third-party lab testing their stuff. So we do that in 3. We do it at the raw ingredient level, we do it at the manufacturing level, and we do it before we make it available to any doctor or any pharmacist, and to any fighter for in this case. So it's triple tested, and we own pharmacies. I think that's one of the biggest things that we're a pharmacist-owned company, and I think that has carried a lot of weight for us, which allowed us to grow quickly. Before CBD became big, and has allowed us to, COVID hit every business hard. I mean, when your model was to be in doctors' offices and pharmacies, who was going to the pharmacist and their doctor during COVID? You were being told the opposite.
Right.
Telemedicine this, telemedicine that, right? So we took a hit. But I'm convinced that we stayed profitable and survived it is because of that early footprint that we're a pharmacist-backed company that there's trustworthy, right? People would like to hear about CBD, but who do I take? Well, how do I know this company from that company? That's the trust factor. We were able to cut through that because we're a pharmacist-owned company, so that helped us a lot. So I think that's some of the differentiators is that we're pharmacist-owned, is triple tested, and that we've been around. We've been around 6 years now at this point. That we're very credible.
You guys have
company.
been sponsoring RIZE for a little while now, right?
Yeah, I would say we've been in RIZE several months now. I would think like 4 months.
Real quick before we exit this interview,
Sure.
What makes your company align with RIZE as a fight promotion? Because you could have picked a lot of fight promotions. Why did you sign up with us and choose to support us like
Well,
that?
like a lot of things, it's relationships, right? So us having an interest in getting into the sports world, and we're looking at more high impact type sports, and having a relational connection through Armando, we just got to talking, and it became a no-brainer. We like what you guys are doing. I've seen the growth just in the time that we've been aligned with you guys. So I think it's a perfect fit for us. You know, as a sport, it's perfect. I think the brand, you guys are aspiring to be the top, of your category. You're going up against. You're also in a very competitive market. I think we have that in common. Like, that's how we started, right? Because we got into the game. We want to be one of the best ones. We're in a very competitive market. So why not do it together?
It's in front of a lot of athletes and test your product.
Yeah, for sure. It works. You're allowing us to get into that sports world. I think we bring some credibility as well too, some value to Big Sure. Just like you guys want the best fighters to be associated with your league. Hopefully, you want very credible and responsible vendors associated with you guys to keep your brand equity up there. So
just again, we just want to find out, how can people find out more about your
product? Oh yeah, sure. That should be the first thing I should say. Yeah, so anybody that's interested, Pharmacana.com. Also with RIZE, we do have a code, which is very simple, RIZE, and it's 20% off just for being associated with RIZE. So if you use that code, you go to Pharmacana.com during the checkout process, like you would in any other e-commerce transaction. You just type in the code, and you'll get that 20% off.
That's awesome.
Sounds simple enough. Ralph, we appreciate your time.
No, I appreciate you guys.
Thanks for stopping.
I appreciate the partnership
some
too.
Information about this.
You got it.
And
anytime.
we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Same here.
Thanks, Ralph.
See everybody out at the events.
Yep. We're going to take a quick commercial break again. We're going to bring Jose Shorty Torres back out here with us on the couch. Have him limp on over here, and we'll close out the show. So we'll see you in about 30 seconds, everyone.
This is Kerry from Deviate Motorsports. I want to welcome you to our world and give you a little insight into what we do. From the lift kits, lowering kits, custom wheels and tires, gas, diesel performance and accessories. We do it all here in-house. All of our services we offer, we install everything. Come follow us on social media, Facebook or Instagram, deviate_motorsports. Take a look at what we do, what we have to offer. We're located at 1018 North Federal Highway in Lake Park, US 1, just south of North Lake Boulevard, or you can give us a call, 561-840-2023, or shoot us an email, deviatemotorsports@yahoo.com. Thanks.
Experience live MMA right at your fingertips. Any place, anytime, anywhere. Original series, live events, and an ultimate fight library. Exclusively on RIZE X. Download the RIZE FC app from your mobile app store today.
All right, we are back. As you can see, Ralph has exited, and Jose Shorty Torres has limped on back over the pimp with the limp. He's back here on the couch with us once again. And, it was a pleasure definitely hearing from Ralph and everything he had about Pharmacana. I mean, I know you were like hanging on every word, man, because I know you really believe in these products. You've tried them out yourself.
Yeah, quite a bit, honestly. It works. And and sometimes I even forget I have it, you know what I mean? Now I'm going to go home and take it as soon as I get home. And the same thing with what's the
cream?
The cream, what was that called?
CB Discomfort.
CB Discomfort.
Yep.
I swear on that. That stuff is awesome.
It's the #1 seller.
100%.
So.
Jose, have you tried any of these products?
No, but I see the gummies and I'm just like, huh.
You might grab a bag.
I'm surprised they haven't gone by now. So what about mental health?
Gummy connoisseur.
Yeah, well, I know Ralph does have a bag for you. He wants to
and we do have some gummies in there too. Let me double check. Yeah, some gummies for you.
So this is awesome.
We'll talk a little bit later offline on how to use it, but I got a little, we got the CB drops, which is a tincture, and the cream, and some gummies, and then we can talk later about it. Yeah, watch this, guys. Might want to try to take a
sure.
Yeah, he might stick his hand in your bag when you look the other way, so she's going to distract you. His hand's going to Anyway, so, look, I know we're getting ready to shut down here for the day, but anything that you might want to say, Shorty, before you exit out, maybe just about what's going on and who should watch out for you in the flyweight division, and when you're back and healthy, what you're going to be doing to people.
I think lastly to talk about mental health, especially as a man, we don't grow up learning to express our emotions. So just know that it's okay to ask for help and to vent, and it's not a bad thing to be vulnerable. It's okay sometimes. Just pick your people that you want to be vulnerable with. But I think that is a huge, huge thing. And lastly, man, I'm hoping to fight in August. I'm actually, big step, I'm going to be moving overseas. I'm going to be in Bahrain starting in July and just being there for the rest of the year, hopefully fighting 3 times a week. But in general, I'm going to be here until July having fun, and I'll be at the RIZE fight with you guys April 15th, so we're going to have a lot of fun and do our thing and see what happens next. But until then, just try not to fall right now, and yeah, that's really much about it.
That's awesome.
Well, as you said, you should be in a full leg cast. I think you mentioned it was
Oh,
earlier
yeah,
on,
I
and you
will.
just
See, that's
rocking
also
the
my
cane.
problem. I just want to be moving, so this is my pimp cane, and hitting a lot of people with him. But yeah, man, just try my best not to fall and doing my thing. You know, and even for stuff like this, like, again, the mental health, it's like look good, feel good. So if you dress up, sometimes you feel good throughout the day. You know, even though it is I can be here in sweatpants or whatever, but I'm like, no, man, let me spruce myself up, and because of that, my mentality changes. You know, so just those little things just make you feel better. Hell, gummies are gonna make me feel better. That's for sure.
Well, it's, a pleasure obviously having you here as our guest. We always like spending some time with you, and you and I haven't really had a conversation since the Delray thing. I'm telling you, man. We're kind of missing each other. Yeah, I know. I thought we were gonna go back and do it again, but I don't know what they did. They changed everything around.
Oh, look, you guys are talking about your feelings. Mental health is good for the soul.
It's right. It's good. If you pop a couple of gummies, you might feel even more so. But, no, but again, we appreciate your time, Ralph. We appreciate you having you
thank
here
you
as
guys.
well.
Appreciate
and,
it.
I know, David, you didn't get a chance to say much tonight, so tell us a little bit about what's going on with building up this card for April 15th.
And it's looking really exciting. He mentioned goat shed. We got some goat sheds now, some goats, a lot of good,
pit bulls.
Yeah, some pit bulls, a lot of good fighters, a lot of fighters I'm anticipating seeing. Miranda Galvan, one of the best to do it. She's going to be on the card. It's turned out really good. I don't want to give any surprises away, but I'm really excited. Like I said, over 10, probably 13 to 14 usually fights. Eric, Pirate King, is going to be there. All the normal suspects, so it's going to be awesome.
Right. We're looking forward to that. I'm sure it's going to be a rocking card like usual.
Yeah.
And Sherry, what else you got?
You know what? I'm just really happy that everybody was able to come out today, that we got to hear more from our sponsor, Pharmacana. It's really appreciated that you guys put your effort into us and believe in us like that. Again, super excited for April 15th. Shorty Torres will be commentating on the April 15th card along with us. We have Mike here, as always, entering us into a very professional way, entering the show in a very professional way. And then David Shore, I mean, you're the main face, I think. As far as I can tell, you've been on every card and helped put every fight together. And so thank you guys for taking time out of busy life, coming all the way here, filming this, talking about interesting things, and making this a cool show.
We appreciate your positivity.
It's always good.
It goes a long way.
It does.
So again, have a great night, everyone. On behalf of my co-hosts Sherry and David, I'm Mike. Once again, our guests Ralph and Shorty. Have a great night. Stay safe, and we'll catch you on April 15th.